Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. Thanks for joining us. We'll get started and we'll have more people join as we progress. So I'd like to welcome you back for another HeadStarter Pulse AMA. This is a bi-weekly event in which we answer questions submitted by the Hedera community. This week we are joined by SaucerSwap and Stader, our co-founders of the Hashgraph DeFi Alliance. And we're going to talk about the recently released Sentinel project, as well as discuss the role of the DeFi Alliance in the Hedera ecosystem as a pillar for community growth, ecosystem enabling initiatives, and trust. For those who are unfamiliar, Project Sentinel proposes an open methodology of token and project evaluation created to serve the best interest of the community of HBARBARIANS in the ever-growing permissionless DeFi landscape of Hedera. The project is currently in a working beta stage, and we welcome feedback and contributors towards improving the product. It is intended to present a factual, objective overview of Hedera projects that use a native fungible token. And also, we believe that it has a very important educational factor, as it can serve as a reference and also a guideline for best practices for both users interacting with dApps and other tokens, and for projects launching one alike. On the Sentinel website, you can find reports for some of the popular HTS tokens today. And over there we aggregate, review, and display a lot of important information that we believe everybody should consider when interacting with a project and its token. You can also apply for your project to be reviewed and listed up on Sentinel, have the project report published, and offer transparency and peace of mind for your community and potential token holders. I also want to remind you guys that this is a community-oriented AMA, so we invite everybody to jump in and ask your questions. We'll be more than happy to cater for them, and we're excited to hear your feedback on the dApp, on the Hashgraph DeFi Alliance initiatives, or also on some of our native protocols as well. Going to our invitees now. Sorry to have kept you waiting, guys, for so long. We have the pioneering DeFi protocols on Hedera. So SaucerSwap and Stader are joining us today. And we'd love to give a quick introduction so that the listeners here today are more familiar with maybe the person behind the project or behind the project's Twitter account today. And also, you can tell us a bit about your projects, although likely you're very well known already.
Cool. Thanks so much for having us, and thanks everyone for tuning in. Hi everyone, this is Gautam from Stader. I lead the business side of our Hedera solution. As you guys might already know, Stader is a multi-chain liquid staking protocol. We launched our Hedera or HBAR solution back in April, have been going strong since then. About 1.4 billion HBAR in TVL, and a whole host of sort of pools on SaucerSwap and other dexes. And we're, recently been working on integrating ourselves with protocol staking that has been launched recently as well, and we can talk more about that. But yeah, that's a quick intro.
Thank you very much for that.
Hey everybody, Peter from SaucerSwap here. Thanks for having me. I'm the marketing lead at SaucerSwap. As Tudor mentioned, probably most of you already know about SaucerSwap. For those that don't, SaucerSwap is a Hedera native DEX. Has the most liquid pools right now, and second to none community. We launched in early August. Our public launch was August 5th. And similarly to Stader, we are also preparing for Hedera native staking. on our end, which ties into our single-sided staking architecture. But really excited to be here to address some questions regarding the HDA today. Of course, HeadStarter's Project Sentinel and how it relates to token listings on SaucerSwap.
Thanks for the context there, Peter. Obviously, Project Sentinel wouldn't probably be alive today if it wasn't for SaucerSwap, but we'll get into discussing that a bit further on. So again, I want to remind everybody that we have a set of questions from the community, but we're more than happy to have yours. So feel free to request to speak, and we'll have you up. Whether that's a question about the Sentinel project, whether it's a question about the SDA, about HeadStarter, SaucerSwap, or Stader. Happy to cater it in the hour of this AMA. We also have on panel as a co-host today Ben, who will be moderating and issuing some of the questions for the 3 projects on deck today. Ben, how are you doing?
Hi, Judo. Hello, everyone. I'm all right, thank you. Been away from AMAs for some time. I'm really glad to be back and see familiar faces around. And it's always heartwarming to be amongst friends. Let's start right in with the first question. From a social perspective, what does Sentinel bring to the ecosystem? Why is it important for SaucerSwap?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a great question. From our perspective, Sentinel, HeadStarter's Sentinel project is a way for us to engage the community, to be at the front of the decision-making process for token listings in an informed capacity. So to kind of unpack that, Tudor mentioned before, there's an educational component to Sentinel, and that starts from asking what we, kind of see as the right questions, specifically what the HeadStarter team sees as the right questions. And of course, this was collaborative. The goal is that it ultimately delivers the power of decision-making to the community. So the whole reason this came about was we were struck with an issue regarding token listings, which was basically, how do we go about listing tokens in our menu in a transparent and decentralized way that involves the community. So one option is to just list every token that applies and list every token in our token menu. This is probably the most transparent process, but it does create some issues. For example, just given the ease with which token creators can create HTS tokens on Hedera, the token menu could just simply get out of hand, unwieldy with basically too many options. If we included the whole gamut of tokens, that token menu would include legitimate tokens to potentially like fake USDCs, fake stable coins that are trying to trick users, and everything in between. So just given the nature of the network and how easy it is to create tokens, this option didn't seem like the best one. Another option that other DEXs have used is to list tokens at their own discretion. So this can prevent listing, for instance, fake USDC or sham tokens if, you have somebody who's scrutinizing it, but it's only scrutinized by one party. So it's a pretty centralized approach to doing that. So what the HDA wanted to do was provide a pipeline for projects that, one, want to gain visibility in the ecosystem and list their token on SaucerSwap or other DEXs that basically gathers information about their project through some basic questions and generates a report that is easy to digest for the end user who will ultimately be interacting with the tokens. And this is to decentralize the process, still apply necessary scrutiny, but basically at the volition of the community. And so our thinking is this does two things. One, there's more eyes on the token and the project from our community, which is good for projects that want to gain visibility. And two, the users who will be interacting with that token are by and large the users that will decide if the token should be listed by default. Of course, the governance structure for just Hedera DAOs in general, including SaucerSwap, will evolve over time to embrace a wider audience. Right now, Plonky Epoch NFT holders vote on token listings. I did want to also just quickly mention there was a bit of confusion about this. Did want to clear it up. So SaucerSwap is 100% permissionless. So what that means is even if a HTS token doesn't go through Sentinel, or if the community, rejects the application to be listed by default in menus, that token can still be traded on SaucerSwap. You can create liquidity pools with any HTS token. Anyone can create liquidity pools with any HTS tokens, and any HTS token can be swapped. So what we're talking about here is which tokens appear by default in the token menus, and also what's tracked in our analytics for charts and the like. So I guess to wrap up this kind of lengthy answer, basically with a kind of burgeoning DeFi ecosystem on Hedera, it made a lot of sense to integrate HeadStarter's Project Sentinel into the token listing framework, and we're really excited about what this means for the community to have the decision-making power to kind of navigate the HTS economy while it develops.
Thank you very much for the answer, Peter. It's a very complex thinking that you guys have put together, and I wanted to offer a bit more context. Project Sentinel was something that had key contributions from Peter and the SaucerSwap team from the get-go, from inception all the way to it seeing the state in which it is today. We are happy that we were in a position where we could compile the most objective questions that we could put together and put them forth towards the community to digest, whether they're doing basic DYOR when looking into a project, or they are voting towards it being whitelisted on SaucerSwap. It is something that we believe brings a lot of value and congests a lot of the most important and essential information that anybody looking to interact with a DApp, looking to interact with a token on Hedera should take into consideration beforehand. A lot of the times we came into crypto and DeFi, and maybe if you're from the class of 2021, you might have been used to aping, but we believe that we need to build a sustainable economy here on Hedera, and transparency and building sustainable solutions is something that is at the forefront of our common interests, I believe. The Project Sentinel has been something that has been in the works for the past couple months, and we were in a position where we could put it together because we are doing a lot of due diligence with the projects that are applying for HeadStarter IDOs, as well as projects that are looking to be accelerated. So we want to make sure that whenever we put a project forward into an IDO, into an INO, or have them in our accelerator, which will be announcing a lot more information soon. that this project is top class and it checks all the boxes. And the Project Sentinel is a subset of the questions that we take these projects through in our due diligence process, and we have selected only the most objective ones, the most binary ones, or things that are, let's say, more easy to quantify across a few sectors, a few categories, from theme to token to all the way to documentation and business strategy. So all these things are something that is of an essence whenever projects are looking to build a solution that is ultimately something that has or can have financial implications for its users.
Great answer, Trudeau, and I think it does bring context into why we need a Sentinel around, and the common effort from the HDA to provide a safer environment for all the Hedera community members. I would be curious to know Gautam's viewpoint on Sentinel.
Yeah, sure. So I think Tudor and Peter basically covered quite a lot. But the thing that I would kind of like to add is as we sort of try and build the DeFi ecosystem, we want to avoid some of the mistakes that the other ecosystems have made, across different networks, right? And one of the major things is that while we love the permissionless and the flexibility that DeFi offers, doing your own research for a user is actually quite a big task. And the Sentinel project provides a very easy to digest way for people to kind of go ahead and start doing their own research on some of these tokens and the new ones that will come up in the future. The other aspect, which is also interesting, is it gives developers and people who are building projects on Hedera a very, very clear benchmark and a very, very clear North Star in terms of transparency and security that they need to adhere to. Right? Again, it's not something to force, but it's like the community coming together and making a standard for everybody to follow. Right. The last point I would just like to add is that this is not something which is a once done exercise, right? As the ecosystem evolves, as more and more projects come up, the idea is that Sentinel becomes this standard that keeps on evolving with the ecosystem and becomes the sort of North Star in terms of transparency and security that every project aspires to.
That is true. I think as we evolve through our crypto journey, all of us, and particularly with Hedera, it is very important to identify where we are now and how we want to lead the way as co-founders of the Hashgraph DeFi Alliance. We certainly want to set the right standards and make sure that whoever wants to build on Hedera come with the right intention, so that the whole community as one will benefit from it. Before we move to the next question, I just want to remind the audience that they're more than welcome to drop questions either on our Twitter account or on Saucer or Stader, wherever you feel more comfortable to drop your questions, or even on our Discord servers. And also, you will get a chance to come on stage at a later point during this AMA session. So keep those questions coming, and we'll get a chance to go through them later on. Right, so the next question that I wanted to kind of put ahead is, how do you guys see Sentinel going forward? Like Gautam mentioned, it can't be just a snapshot and that's it of it. Are there any other developments or other applications that you can see Sentinel being a part of? Trudeau, would you like to jump in there?
Yeah, so one thing that I want to say is that Sentinel at the moment is a fairly manual process. Projects submit a review request, fill in a form with a lot of details. Then our team manually processes, and especially the things that cannot be automated will have to be checked through proofs and other resources. We have this process in place where we verify all the points, but we always stay open towards amendments of the report as time progresses, and projects will have the opportunity to request a project review at any time in the future, and then automatically the timestamp for the report is updated. We're going to be looking to growingly increase the level of automation involved in Sentinel, and hopefully at some point in the future make sure that it is relatively autonomous. The applications, I think that we have discussed a bit about them, and they have to do with upcoming projects on Hedera, possibly being a bit more aware of some of the best practices, and at the same time the ecosystem using it for their DYOR. But we believe that such transparency tools are not as widely used today. You have a few websites that look into the biggest projects by TVL, by certain other metrics like market capitalization, but there's very little applications such as Sentinel that really look into all the projects, all the up-and-coming projects on Hedera in our situation, and take them all the way from a nascent stage to the point where they are mainnet and listed. For example, right now Project Sentinel features the HeadStarter token, the SaucerSwap token that are already on exchanges, centralized and decentralized alike, and at the same time they have quite a lot of market cap compared to some of the other ones that might be today on the SaucerSwap DEX, but are not yet on Sentinel. And at the same time, projects that have yet to have any type of liquidity. And it's very interesting when we look at the projects coming up on Hedera, the approach that they are taking. When we started HeadStarter a bit over a year ago, we did feel that HeadStarter is the missing link towards Hedera, because we're looking to facilitate projects' growth and funding. And there are some very popular models out there in the crypto space at large when it comes to the way that projects roll out their tokens. We have been pleasantly surprised to see innovative and unique ways that tokens are being launched on Hedera. Most of them are not going the VC route. They're very community focused, and there's a lot of tokens that are coming up from Hedera NFT projects, which says a lot, especially from the one of the main reasons we're here today, because of this whole growth we've seen in the Hedera NFT scene. So going into the future, we believe that Sentinel could be used as a good reference point for projects that are building also on other chains. And we want to welcome everybody to suggest improvements and feedback towards the application across our channels.
Peter, anything you wanted to add?
That was a great answer. And I don't think I have much to add. I guess just from our perspective, our use case for Sentinel right now is pretty straightforward. As I mentioned before, we will use the Sentinel reports to provide them to our community to navigate the token listings on SaucerSwap. Especially as the HTS economy grows and the frequency with which new projects pop up. I think that there will be a lot of value derived from the reports. And also just want to echo and show appreciation for that kind of benchmarking for developers. It's pretty invaluable to see what's resonating with the community, what's important to the community, to the end users, and Sentinel provides that information in a pretty black and white sort of manner. So definitely excited about that educational component as well.
Thank you, Peter. I know, Gautam, you mentioned already a few things that you wanted Sentinel to be in the near future, but would you like to add anything more to this question?
Yeah, sure. So I think we don't have, because we're native basically staking the native token. So it's not a super direct fit with our use case. But I think in terms of moving the DeFi ecosystem forward, I think, like I said, it's pretty important for us to build those foundations through which users can form clear opinions about how projects are built and how projects are sort of positioned. And also projects can basically have something to aspire to. I think in the future, we will definitely consider Sentinel-based sort of integrations for HBARX and our future products. Right. Right now, we've been doing a similar process, but more manual, more behind the scenes. But as I see our staking solution sort of evolving into a community-led solution, even from a decision-making point of view, and us sort of implementing some of those governance layers, I think it's important to have something like the Sentinel project there, so that information is very, very clearly represented to the folks who will then be making decisions based on their votes.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true, Gautam. And I've got another question actually at the back of your answer is now that we've got Sentinel in place and we can see already there are 7 projects who have been the bravest of all and decided to be out there and go through the process and made available for public scrutiny. You mentioned, Gautam, that we need to really push forward transparency and the education, and also make sure that the DeFi space is a safe one as much as it can be. Do you expect more projects to come, and how should we go and encourage this behavior?
Yeah, absolutely. The idea is that Sentinel becomes this self-selection kind of tool, right? Where people look towards projects that have gone through the rigor of disclosing their information on Sentinel and adhering to that level of transparency as projects that they can trust at a higher level to a certain degree than projects that have not gone through the rigor and the transparency of Sentinel, right? So I do expect that, as we sort of refine and perfect this methodology more and more, we will have a community-wide acceptance of this methodology, to the extent that, when people look at new projects, they always kind of go back and compare how these projects are stacking up on the parameters and the pillars that Sentinel is bringing forward, right? And if we are able to achieve that, then this becomes like a self propelling loop, where new projects will aspire to this level of transparency. The community will demand this level of transparency from new projects, and overall we'll have an ecosystem that is really robust in terms of the quality of projects that are coming in and the quality of information that is being shared with users so that they can make informed decisions.
That's a great answer. There's little that I can add to that. The only aspect that I can put forth on this particular matter is that we realize that some of the criteria is very, very strict, from teams being doxed to all the way to there being businesses behind these projects, and for there to be some very, or even a level of verification such as KYC. So we do see that these criteria are pretty strict, and probably not a lot of people want to go through this type of rigors. And we are in DeFi, we are in crypto, and as regulations are relatively fuzzy, we also understand the reason why certain actors might choose to stay anonymous or pseudonymous. That's one of the things that I want to underline, is that depending on the use case, certain things are more understandable. And although there is a relatively the transparency and, let's say, public people, companies behind the project offer a certain amount of additional trust to that particular token, everything can still go belly up. Although the chances are that if there's a nobody behind the project, even if their intentions are the best, when stuff doesn't go according to plan, they would be a lot. It will be a lot easier for them to back away from the project and not assume responsibility. So none of the criteria we would say that is a must to be followed. There can be justifications behind each item, and we certainly do accept and encourage everybody to go through this exercise, and also provide the justification if needed for being anonymous, for example, because a lot of the reasons for choosing to be so, as I mentioned earlier, are understandable.
Yep, and just to piggyback on that, comment on kind of accessibility, which I can't agree with more. It's our intention that any project can apply for a Sentinel report, whether the team wants to be KYC'd or wants to remain anonymous. It's important that projects that come from the HBAR community, maybe it's from Club HBAR, or projects that come from more of a corporate backing, or projects that might go through VC rounds, to allow for all of those projects to go through Sentinel is really the intention. So by no means should this stifle the growing HTS economy, and we don't foresee that it will. It's accessibility and inclusivity is one of the tenets behind this endeavor.
Thanks a lot for the context, Peter. And we have been joined as speakers by Patches and Monkey. I wanted to say hello, guys. How's it going today? And Patches, do you want to come forth? Is there anything you would like to add on this point?
Yeah, I have a question, if that'd work out.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I love the idea. Definitely, helping onboard new users not get rugged, I think helps people gain crypto literacy and not just kind of leave the space instantly after they get, rugged from the 9th fungible token. I came from Binance small cap coins, so that happened to me a lot. And I left the chain, but I didn't leave crypto, luckily. Is there an intention to document this? Am I back?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Sorry. I got a phone call. Is there an intention to build a standard using like HCS for coins that have passed the standard, or disseminate it in a way that's immutable on the mainnet for others to digest, so it's not just a visual or anything, but it's rather actually on the Hedera mainnet when things are approved, and then obviously have some sort of standard format for when something's revoked. But then, just allow a decentralized manner of this approval process.
I think if it's about the approval process of the SaucerSwap whitelisting, that could be a question for Peter. From my perspective, definitely, I mean, the Project Sentinel is at the moment in beta, and we want to encourage as much scrutiny, feedback, and critique on the process, possibly improve it. At the point in time when we are confident that we have found a working solution, I think this conversation should be had, Patches, and smells to me like a hip.
Yeah, and thanks for the question, Patches. It's our goal to move to on-chain voting, so everything's transparent. So just as DAOs are developed on Hedera, we have this stopgap solution of Plonk Epoch NFT holders being able to vote on these reports to prevent botting. It's not a perfect solution, but it's again, it's a stopgap solution while we navigate token and ballot weighted voting architecture that would be on chain and transparent.
Have you performed token gated votes on HCS with Epoch NFT holders?
No, we have not.
Okay, I was gonna be like, that's amazing. I need to go buy one. This is a side note, but there is a DAO working group that I've been meeting with for the last month or so, and so these standards on DAO ballot and vote for HCS documentation are trying to be built by a group of developers, like May, Upside DAO, May from Hashpack. There's just a bunch of people in there. So I think as those standards start to get filled out, and I appreciate HeadStarter, how you're saying, you want to crawl, walk, run, not just try to run right away, and normalize the process to a point where you feel really comfortable with it. It feels like we're all kind of going in the same direction, where these standards might actually exist when we want to start disseminating information to other users through HCS as more of an RSS feed of viable information that you can trust. So yeah, this is just exciting. Everyone's building cool stuff, and I think that it's all coinciding together. And I'll just try to keep in touch with you, SaucerSwap, on any standards that come out of that working group. And there is a Twitter for it as well, so you can follow that.
Fantastic. Yeah, I was I attended one couple weeks ago, and it was great. So yeah, certainly will be part of that conversation, navigating DAOs on Hedera. Thanks, Patches.
I guess that's your healthy dose of alpha, what's to come in the months to follow. Monkey, how's it going? Thanks for joining us.
Hello, Tudor. Hello, Gleason and Patches. Patches, you put up a great point with the on-chain kind of whitelisting, I guess. Like, this token is safe, this token is kind of not safe, or it's like Sentinel verified or whatever. I do like that idea. I did have a question with the Sentinel, I don't know what the process of it, because we're technically kind of on SaucerSwap already, specifically for the tokens that are already on there. Would this be grandfathered in? I'm going through the process, and I did put it in, but I just wondered, would we be grandfathered in, or is this a requirement still to be whitelisted?
Yeah, so we're grandfathering in most of the tokens that are already existing, especially those with liquidity. There are some tokens on our deck that have very low liquidity, and part of the kind of whitelisting process is to have like a minimum liquidity. It's $3,000 in a pool, so it's $1,500 on either side, whether that's HBAR and the HTS token, or USDC and the HTS token. After we list some tokens that have gone through Sentinel, we will look at delisting tokens that just don't have liquidity, especially those that are that just seem more or less abandoned. To answer your question, yes, grandfathered in for tokens like Cream, and other tokens that have significant liquidity and activity on SaucerSwap, and then looking to make consistent our token listing process, retroactively, is something that we would do after some initial listings.
Beautiful, thank you. I also had another question, but you answered it about what would happen with the ones that, like you said, were abandoned and stuff. Thank you.
I think it's great to have the two of you on deck right now, Patches and Monkey, because I think the next question is really up your alley. And the question was that since the number of non-fungible tokens currently outweigh the projects that use fungible tokens on Hedera, do you think that a similar methodology could be proposed and put together for NFTs, projects that have an NFT projects?
Yes, I've actually heard Patches speak on this before. I personally am not the one that likes to, let's say, pre-approve NFT projects, but I know some launch pads are doing like the KYC. For example, NFTer, they do have a KYC type of process. I'm not sure what goes on in the process, but I believe they're using a third-party like verification source. I personally don't like it, but yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm engineering and listening, but it sounded like the NFT version of Project Sentinel situation. I'm sorry, if you could repeat.
Yeah, if you think that there can be a sort of a standard developed so that there can be brought more transparency to the NFT projects.
Yeah, I think I agree with what Monkey was saying, and I think that there is a lot of room for there to be an NFT infrastructure, working group as well to help build these standards. I know there was conversation probably 6 months ago now about how do you verify, because it's so simple to mint on Hedera. How do you verify the minting wallet of, say, HBARBARIANS and know that it's 306412 and not some other one? And what standard way can you put that onto HCS? And then, yeah, like what you're spearheading, how do you, what is the best method in which you can not guarantee, but give a better assurance that this is a team that is here for a longer haul? Like a company's a company, it still might fail, but they're not a rug, which is launch and then take all money out of the ecosystem and leave. And then what are those standards? So I think we're in a great position, just as we see the DAO working group and as you see the DeFi Alliance, to start to stand up an NFT infrastructure group that can talk about both, HIP 412 and the new updates that just went out. Some changes to the mainnet happened lately where there was minting problems and it affected anyone who had minting tools. And yeah, just have that, continually built together as we have as a community, and do that in all the pillars and foundational elements of the ecosystem. So I think I'm rambling. Yes, it is definitely a good thing that we should pursue, and I very much appreciate you taking the first stab at what is authenticity and what is what are the questions that should be asked to really guarantee or try to guarantee a good team. This is all great to see.
Thanks a lot for the feedback, Patches and Monkey. I wanted to say hi to Mika. Thanks for joining us here on the panel today, and I hope it's been a while since we've heard each other on Spaces. How have you been? And really appreciate also your input on the Project Sentinel. I think it's we can hear you now. I think.
Okay, great. Hi, yeah, it's really great to be here. It's really great to see you guys doing the Spaces. I just came up here to send some appreciation your way, because I think that Project Sentinel is one of the pieces of infrastructure for the community that will set a precedent for safety on Hedera. if future projects come in and they don't employ the same standards as you are, then it's easy to spot, that might be a vulnerability for the user. So I think, what you guys are doing with the DeFi Alliance, with Project Sentinel, is absolutely necessary, and it's building a safe space for people to build and, use the Hedera network. So yeah, I just came up here to say thank you for doing what you're doing, and I also have to say, thoughts and opinions are my own. I work as a community development and business development for SaucerSwapLabs, so I do have to say that. But I do know that a lot of the community appreciates a lot of what you do. I always get amazing feedback from community members that you guys are helping along the way, building out some other tooling and infrastructure. So yeah, I just came up here to say that and say, I have a lot of love for you guys, and so does the community. So yeah, thanks for doing that, and thanks for being public with the spaces. This really helps the community, and like I said, it just sets a precedent for the future projects that are going to build on here. If they're not doing what you guys are doing, then we know there's something up. So yeah, thanks for everything.
Thanks a lot for the kind words, Mika. We're very happy that you took the time to join us here on Spaces today, and we have to also give the credit where credit is due. Swirls, Hedera, the HBAR Foundation have been really pushing the envelope for the Hedera ecosystem, and I think the growth that we're seeing here over the past few months speaks volumes of the quality of work and the commitment that you guys are putting forth every day. So appreciate also your constant support and it's growing the space. If we thank you, Mika. Monkey, is there something that you want to add?
Yeah, sorry. This is more of a HST HeadStarter question. Would the KYC carry over from your funding rounds, or would that not carry over to Sentinel?
So yeah, I mean, we do have as you are alluding to, a KYC process for people who are participating in the IDO. Those KYCs will carry over into the upcoming IDOs that will be rolling out. And yes, potentially we can explore for people who already have their KYC completed for HeadStarter, so that there's no duplication if they are part of teams that are public and up there on Sentinel, for them to not perform the KYC twice.
Okay, I figured that would be what you guys use that service for, right? Because you guys use a third-party service for a KYC, and I imagine if I could verify that was my KYC, you could use it again, right?
Yeah, that's exactly. So we definitely can proceed that way. That's the process that we have in place right now for the KYC and KYB. We are sending a link to the team, the person who submitted the Sentinel request, and asking them to perform KYC, KYB for him, his team, his company, his developers. And if that KYC is already in the we're using the same RegTech provider, so if the KYC is in the database, it should carry over. Thanks for the question, Monkey. I think it was very important. Going forward with some of the questions, there's a fairly high amount of planning involved when building your project, and the Sentinel methodology will definitely serve as a guideline for builders coming to the space. Do you think that some of the other, let's say, initiatives coming forth from the Hedera DeFi Alliance are also similar and high impact? What should we anticipate from the now Hashgraph DeFi Alliance going further, guys? Question for Gautam or Peter, if you want to tackle it.
Sure. Sure, maybe I can start. Right? I think when we sort of started the alliance, the idea was how do we make sure there is a path for folks who are looking to build on Hedera to kind of build faster and better, right? So with that sort of North Star in mind, I think the Sentinel is one of the pillars of setting up a project for any new builder which is looking outside in, right? And the idea is that on the builder side of things, we will create more and more of these standards. There may be standards in terms of code that people use. There may be standards in terms of managing a community. There may be standards in terms of transparency and security that Sentinel is, right? And there may be standards in other ways that projects can come in and use. But the idea is that always keeping that North Star in mind on how do we make the ecosystem, better, bigger, and more transparent. I think those will be the sort of guiding lights, and looking at that, you'll see a lot of similar stuff coming out from the alliance in the future.
Absolutely agree with that. And just to jump in, we'll also be open sourcing some tools and resources to an open source repo to a public repo that projects building within the DeFi ecosystem can use. One of those will likely be added this week. So in addition to kind of helping to define standards and best practices, there will also be some concrete tools that will be provided to the community.
Thanks for the answer, guys. So also from the Hedera DeFi Alliance, Hashgraph DeFi Alliance now, we'll be looking to launch a website in the immediate future and also start onboarding new members. When it comes to onboarding new members, part of the Alliance, we will be accepting both projects and individual contributors. And following that, we want to make sure that we split some of the initiatives into working groups, as you guys alluded to, defining standards, helping with tooling, releasing open source material, but also compiling research, having a lot of best practices and some material that would help anybody either start their journey on Hedera or improve it, also being aware of the risks involved, collaborating on joint media outreach. Also, maybe we'll be looking to try to see how we can contribute into some in real life events, hackathons as well. So I think there were some questions from the Stader community, and I think that you have addressed, Gautam, the one about how will the HDA provide security towards HBAR. But I think another hot button topic over the past few weeks was the one about native staking. So I think there was a question from the Stader socials where they were asking, now that staking is live, what happens with HBARX, and how will HBARX be sustaining itself in the future?
Yeah, sure. So I think that this is obviously one of the sort of hot questions that we've been asked all on our socials. Just sort of a little bit of more context, right? I think on all major networks around in Web3, native staking sort of went first, and then liquid staking was built on top of it. Right here, because of the way the network has evolved, it was just done the other way. But again, both kind of go hand in glove, where liquid staking is basically a derivative on top of native staking. And with the chain now being complete, we're going to launch the V3 version of our product, which will basically derive rewards from native staking plus a little bit of extra rewards, and then provide that as the sort of fuel that will increase the value of HBARX going forward. For users, there'll be no change. Your HBARX will continue to accrue value like it's accruing right now. right? The change will be at the back end. It will just mean that the the HBAR that you're now staking with Stader and sort of using HBARX in different DeFi protocols now also goes into securing the network. So basically, by using HBARX, now you'll get a little bit of higher rewards than native staking, but also you get to participate in the security of the network because we're going to stake it to multiple nodes, not just one node, thereby sort of increasing the decentralization and robustness. On the other hand, you will still be able to participate in all of the HBARX DeFi integrations and potentially increase your yield that way as well. So both are kind of going to work together. And both have a different sort of approach. Basically, the liquid staking token is built on top of native staking. It was just that on the Hedera network, the idea was that we bootstrap the demand side first while the protocol or native staking was being built, right? So this sort of completes the value chain picture and makes the network very similar to other networks out there. It is, by the way, also why we started with liquid staking solution, because we knew at a certain point of time we'll be integrating with native staking.
Thanks a lot for the answer there. I think everybody in the community is very excited to see the upcoming features that you guys have planned. I know that there's a lot and that your team is very busy towards building the solution. So looking forward to the continued growth of HBARX in HBAR terms, I guess. So as we're coming to the top of the hour, if there's no other further questions coming from the community, I would like to thank everybody on the panel here today for joining us, and would like to ask Saucer and Stader for some final notes to leave us with.
Great. Yeah. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in and asking questions. This is a new endeavor, so there are certainly a lot of things to talk about, and it is a dialogue between everyone in the community to make this Sentinel project as beneficial as it can be. So I'm personally really excited about seeing conversations in the community come about from seeing these Sentinel reports for different projects about best practices around HTS keys, tokenomics as well. There's a section that asks if I think there's a question that asks if the tokenomic design is inflationary, deflationary, disinflationary, burn and mint equilibrium model, stuff like that. So I'm just really excited to see these conversations come about, so we can all be more informed and create more value on Hedera. So thanks again for tuning in.
Yeah. So just continuing on from what Peter was saying, I think the Sentinel initiative is exactly what it is. It's an initiative. The idea is that while this first step has been made, we basically continue to go ahead and keep on refining this with the community, adding more and more things which are useful, covering for use cases which have not been covered so far, and making sure that this is as useful for the community, both for users who are trying to research on or get to know more about new projects, and also for builders who are trying to see what are the best practices that they need to sort of aspire towards. So yeah, it's a continuous process, and we hope to kind of do this along with the community going forward. And finally, thanks everyone for tuning in, and thanks for having us here today.
Thank you very much for joining us here today on panel, gentlemen. Thank you also to Ben for being the co-host, and thank you to Patches, Monkey, and Mika for joining us here today on Spaces. Since we have recently launched the Sentinel, you can now check it out for yourselves at sentinel.headstarter.org. there's a methodology in place that everybody can consult at any times, and we welcome any type of feedback, scrutiny, and we want to open a dialogue about it, about what are best practices. If we missed anything, we just want to make sure that we improve the Project Sentinel for it to be inclusive and transparent. The process that we have put in place is put together by a lot of contributors, and the support put forth by Saucer, Stader, the HeadStarter OGs as well, has been invaluable into bringing it to life and it being in the state it is today. We do appreciate everybody's contributions, and we are looking forward to improving this tool together with the community, since it's here to serve the community interest first. With that being said, thank you for joining us today for the AMA on HeadStarter Pulse, and we're looking forward to speaking to you guys next week in the Hedera Spotlight, Ecosystem Spotlight series. In the meantime, feel free to reach out to us on our socials. We'd love to have a conversation with you about Sentinel, how to improve it, and see more projects up there on the review board.